Hey all, welcome to another writing lesson with your favorite professor. I hope that doesn't have to be true, that's not a big deal. Okay, so what I want to focus on this week is the difference between abstract and concrete writing. Now, these two things aren't necessarily good and bad. However, when we're doing academic writing and persuasive writing in general, it's a good thing to remember that we should try to use concrete writing as much as possible. And the way I like to remember this is that specifics stimulate and generalities bore. If I can give you examples that are specific and meaningful with names, dates, places, actual events that people can visualize in their minds, I'm being much more specific, and that's stimulating your mind. You are engaged in what I'm saying, and consequently, I'm more persuasive. Right? If I speak in generalities, in really, really broad terms, oftentimes that gets really, really, really boring, and people become less interested in what it is that you have to say, and consequently, you are less persuasive. Okay, here's what I mean when I say an abstract or a general idea or noun. Abstract words refer to intangible qualities, ideas, and concepts. These words indicate things we know only through our intellect, things like truth, honor, kindness, grace, right? All these things, they're not bad things. They're just very abstract, right? Concrete words refer to tangible qualities or characteristics, things we know through our senses. Words and phrases like 102 degrees, you already have a sense, a feeling of what that's like. An obese Siamese cat, you already have an image in your mind. And deep spruce green. These are all concrete, and those tend to be more persuasive and more attention grabbing than abstract and general ideas. Okay, remember, specifics stimulate, generalities bore. Specifics stimulate, generalities bore. Look at this general writing. This is really boring, right? If I said, pizza is my favorite food, right? It's just kind of boring, right? Because it's so general. You can make pizza way more specific, right? Now, look at this by contrast. Pie Five's Farmer's Market pizza with fresh jalapenos is my favorite pizza, right? Now you get a sense in your head of what it looks like. If you've been to a Pie Five, you already get the sense of what it looks like when you're at the restaurant and what it smells like. It's much, much, much more specific than just saying pizza. And that's better writing because you're giving the reader an image in their mind and they become more engaged because of it. Okay? Here's another example of general writing. According to the news, we should be concerned. And as a listener to that, I'm thinking, well, what news? Especially in our modern era, right? Is this a blog? Is this somebody's blog spot post saying that dinosaurs are coming back? What is this? You need to give me some more sense of indication of what news this is, and then why should I be concerned? I don't even know what we're talking about, right? Now notice how I make this more specific in the good example. According to the Wall Street Journal, we are in imminent peril of dodo birds invading our supermarkets. Are you nervous? Dodo birds are extinct. But now I'm invoking some level of authority because I've got a newspaper that's been around for a very long time that people recognize and acknowledge as a source of information that is credible, right? The Wall Street Journal. And also, I'm talking about dodo birds invading supermarkets, which is very specific. You have an idea of that in your mind now. And I'm using a trusted news source to invoke this sense of authority in my reader. So I'm more persuasive. I'm specific about the source. I'm specific about what's happening. It's a much better example of writing than just saying, according to the news, we should be concerned. Okay? Our last general writing example is, school is hard. Right? That can mean a million things. What do you mean by hard? Emotionally, mentally, physically? What are you talking about? What kind of school? Kindergarten? College? Are you getting your master's degree? What are you talking about? There's a million different things that school can be. By contrast, look at this. Earning a degree, so now we already know we're talking about upper level school, is challenging because of the rigorous assignments and the demanding schedule. Boom! Much more specific. You know what I'm talking about now. We're talking about a college student who's having to work through tough assignments as well as navigating a really difficult schedule. That's much, much more specific than school is hard. Now, notice this is not just about word count. It's not just being more wordy, because you can say a lot of words and say nothing. If I said something like, academia is known to be a very, very difficult thing in this modern world, right? Like that's saying more words, but I'm still not saying anything, right? It's not just about how many words you write. It's about what you're saying within those words. So oftentimes, if you look here, you might need some more words to be specific, but that does not mean you have license just to be wordy to fill up a word count, okay? So that's what we're focusing on. All right, this is called the ladder of abstraction. Look at that, Jeff. Isn't that guy amazing? Now, most words do not fall nicely into categories. They're not always either abstract or concrete. They're on a spectrum, right? Moreover, the abstract in general often overlap as do concrete and specific. Therefore, it can be easier to classify words by placing them on a scale or continuum, a ladder of abstraction, if you will. On the scale, we place a word on higher or lower level of abstraction. The lower on the scale, the more concrete and specific the word is. So you could start off with something super general like food, but then you can make it more specific by saying junk food. You can make it more specific by saying dessert, ice cream, premium ice cream, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, Ben & Jerry's Chunky Monkey ice cream, a double scoop waffle cone of Ben & Jerry's Chunky Monkey ice cream. You see how this is so much more specific than food? Now, you don't always need to be this specific, right? And it's hard for me to tell you when to be at a number 1 level or a number 5 level, something like that. It's just something that you have to get used to in the process of writing. But generally, you should be trying to shade your writing more in these upper level tiers of the ladder, kind of like 4 to 1 area. Not saying you can't have super general nouns and ideas and abstractions. That's okay. But ask yourself, would it help here if I was more specific? Can I give a more clear picture in the mind of my reader? And odds are the answer to that question 9 times out of 10 is going to be yes. So as you're writing this week, whether it's a discussion board post or an essay, whatever it is that you're working on in my class or anyone else's, can you be more specific? Because once you do, you're going to engage the interest of your readers and they're going to want to know what it is that you're saying, right? All right, I hope that helps. I will see you all soon. Goodbye.